Network marketing has hands down been the most effective marketing tactic that I have used in my business to distribute my products and my services around the country and internationally in the last year. It, however, is not my business model that I have used my network to distribute my products and services around the country and internationally in the last year. I'll clarify. However, this was in fact a business model that was used when I ran the marketing division of a multi-million dollar division in corporate America. I want to dive into 3 talking points about this, but also 3 tactical ways that you can implement this into business, or if you do work in corporate America, if you work as your own business, or if you work alongside another organization. These are fundamentals that I use across different platforms, regardless of the size campaign, regardless of the size of the organization. What I want to talk about is using network marketing as a marketing tactic versus a business model. Secondly, dive a little bit into just the marketing process versus the sales process. And 3, where I find that these two get a little blurred or a little messy. And the 3 takeaways that I've used across the different platforms, regardless if I'm working with entrepreneurs, small business, or large organizations. 3 ways that I implement this into business and sales and marketing. All right, so let me say it again. Network marketing has been the most effective way that I have used as a marketing tactic to leverage my services and my products nationwide and take my brand international. It is not, however, my business model, but I'm going to jump into that a little bit more. Using network marketing as a marketing tactic looks a little bit like this. When you're talking marketing, which I will dive into next, is to connect with your network and leverage those connections in a meaningful way, and then can be leveraged to get in front of ideal connections. So, perfect example. Just this week, I was introduced to someone in Mexico. So someone in the Philadelphia area introduced me to a potential collaborative partner because we help the same market. And so we had a conversation. And we had a great conversation as to how we can use our services and help a similar market. He then introduced me to someone in New York City that could potentially use my services. So my network connected me with someone in Mexico who then connected with someone in New York, but for 2 entirely different reasons. So those conversations were a little different. Another example is this was over a year ago, I actually took a seminar online and started talking to the president of that company, who then introduced me to what would be one of my larger clients. And I traveled with them. I trained their marketing team for over a year and a half because I was then introduced using my network as a marketing platform. The difference is I choose, which is fine, not to use network marketing as my business model. And what I mean by that is using a network of distributors to then distribute my products or services. However, what this may look like, and it does not matter to me if you are in corporate America or if you run with a multi-level marketing company, I see it across the board, right? So this in itself is not necessarily what I believe for certain companies to get a bad rap. It is not the fact whether they're using it as a marketing tactic or business model, which I will dive into a little deeper. What the business model looks like is when I was in corporate and I worked for a marketing, well, I was in the marketing department for a mortgage company. Now, my division had over 70 outside executives. And together, we would come out with ways that we could connect and reach and leverage their network, people to people connections, lunch and learns, events. This is where I built out those different marketing campaigns using events and face-to-face, because they would then build relationships with other companies, which ultimately sold to the end user. Okay? The other division, which is where I started, was direct sales. Okay? And direct sales is when those representatives would sell directly to the end user. Okay? So that marketing and those campaigns were a little different, and the representative built a relationship directly with the consumer. We're using the networking marketing as a business model was actually working with our outside sales representatives to build relationships and leverage their network to build up this community that then they sold to the end user. Okay? Now, I see this quite a bit because some people do get a bad rap or, hit down on whether it's work from home companies or corporate America. I mean, this is a constant battle, I feel like, on social media. But so I want to lay it out there that I don't believe, and this is a clarification that I'm going to dive into, I actually don't believe that the issue lies whether or not the company is using network marketing as a marketing tactic or a business model, but it's where the two get blurred. So point number 2 is the difference between the marketing and the sales process. And I'm not going to dive in. This is a whole nother, oh gosh, this could be a whole module on itself, but big story, big, high level. Marketing is actually the process by which you take that good or your services from the concept to the consumer. At a very high level, there are 4 P's of marketing, and that is determining the price, it's determining the distribution channel, it is developing and implementing the promotional strategy, and the place, that distribution channel, the place as to how it's going to get out there, right? So marketing, that is marketing. That is really my world of using all of those together. Sales is the process of taking that customer from a lead, a prospective lead, to a revenue-driven customer. Okay? The two get blurred quite often. I am not here to give a whole lesson today on the differences, but it's important that I at least address the difference and how they work together. Absolutely, marketing and sales do work together. But when we can separate using marketing as a way to determine which distribution center and how the promotional strategy to get that consumer to be a customer, right? To get that lead as a customer is different than the sales process, which is the process of the outreach, which we hear quite a bit, the process of the outreach to the nurturing to actually converting them into a customer, okay? Whew, this is something that I get very passionate about and really defining the difference of using network marketing as a marketing tactic versus a business model. Then I want to identify the difference of the marketing process and the sales process. They work hand in hand, because without marketing, without effective marketing, all of your prospects and all of your people, you really could be missing out on a lot of opportunity, right? Without having that research and knowing where the distribution channel or where the strategy should be, rather than the sales, is the actual process of taking that potential lead and converting them into a customer. The third talking point really that I want to dive into is where this gets a little messy, where I find that some of the conflict or battle, I should say, of using network marketing, direct sales, where it gets a little messy. And then I'm going to leave with 3 takeaways that you can actually implement into business across different platforms. So where this gets messy, if you take my talking point number 1 of using network marketing as a marketing tactic versus the business model, and take my talking point of understanding and really educating the difference of the marketing process and the sales process, is when they start blending and when the tactics are kind of going like this. So what we actually really want to do is know who you're talking to first. And I don't mean their first name. I don't just mean what name is their dog and what do they like as a person. Is where it gets messy is when people in business actually don't know who they're talking to when it relates to their business. And so they may be speaking to them or treating them like a potential prospect or lead, when in reality they could be an amazing strategic partner that can introduce them to a whole new network, but they themselves may or may not be a potential lead. So knowing who you are talking to, are they a potential lead or are they a potential strategic partner that can collaborate with you, that can work alongside your business and you can help one another? Are they a mentor? Are they someone that you can learn from, that you want to absorb information? Well, are you trying to sell someone, or are you trying to learn from them? Are you, you're not going to be selling to your manager or to, in some businesses, your upline, right? Like, they don't need what you already have. So you're going to speak to them and know who you're talking to. And so how do you do that is we qualify that connection. And this in itself is where I believe a lot of training and practice, actual practice, is how do you qualify that? How do you actually know who they are? This is conversation. This is asking the right questions, right? And this is also where pitching someone that, 1, too soon to be pitched, or 2, never wants to be pitched to because you didn't even qualify them, is really where things get messy, right? And again, I am not calling out companies, I'm not calling out business structures, I'm just stating what I have seen across all boards, working in corporate America, working with small agencies, working with entrepreneurs. If we are not qualifying and really getting to know who it is we're talking to in relation to our business, we don't know if we should then treat them as a marketing strategic partner or as a prospect. Okay? Not everyone is a prospect. Not everyone needs nor wants to purchase a service. And so when they are being pitched too soon, we not only lose out on that opportunity of a sale, but we potentially lose out on leveraging that entire network. So let me put into an example. I work with events and sponsorship. That is my area of genius and using sponsorship, event sponsorship as a marketing or sales platform. What I see quite often, and tell me if you've ever worked maybe a fundraiser or nonprofit or maybe a business opportunity, and what happens is these potential businesses are given an entire sponsorship deck. Hi, would you like our gold, our silver, or a bronze package? Which one would you like? Here's our mission statement, and this is why we're so amazing, and this is why you should sponsor this event. And they don't even know them yet. They don't know if it is a really great opportunity, but being pitched too soon is the same as just honestly throwing unsolicited sales pitches out the window. And instead of just having the opportunity to have the conversation, just to see if it's even a good fit and to know what it is that they're looking for, to see if your goals and what they're looking for align or not. Using network marketing as a tactic or as a business model are two different things. No right, wrong, or indifferent, but where it does get messy is when you're blending the sales and the marketing process. And I don't care, like I mentioned, what the business model looks like. I don't care if you are the best salesperson. If we're not qualifying who is actually an ideal prospect, then that's where it gets messy, okay? So the three talking points are using network marketing as a marketing tactic versus business model, the marketing process versus a sales process, and where it gets messy, how it gets messy, okay? And if you want to take all of that into one sentence, is networking itself is really a marketing tactic, where prospecting is more of the sales tactic, okay? So networking is getting to know who it is that you're talking to, qualifying who it is that you're talking to, how can you leverage your networks. But the prospecting is really qualifying them if they are a good fit, and if so, then you put them into your sales journey. So what are my three takeaways that you can actually implement and take into business? Would be, number one, like I said, know who you're talking to first. Before anything else, yes, their first name is important, but asking the right questions. This is what I help my clients to do when they exhibit at events, when they are sponsoring events, and they have a floor full of people, right? We're not going up to everybody and just pitching what we have. We need to first ask the right questions to even know, are they a decision maker? Are they just a brand ambassador that's representing the company? But really, we need to get in front of the decision maker, and that's actually who we want to talk with. But we're not going to do a whole sales pitch right at the booth. We need to continue that conversation. So number one is implement. How can you figure out who it is that you're talking to? If you need help with this, let me know. More than happy to, have a conversation. But number two is identify who your ideal connections are. So now that you know how you're going to start talking to people and ask those questions, how can you determine, are they actually who you want to be talking to? Or are they someone that you can maybe introduce to someone else in your network, right? Because if they're not ideal, if they're not really who you're looking to connect with, well, then let it go, right? But to identify, are they a prospective lead, or are they a prospective strategy partner, or none of the above? Are they a mentor? Who are they? So you want to identify who that is. So for instance, I bring up this example quite often. If you work with moms, identify not only who you work with, but how do they identify as themselves? And moms can be very vague. Are you working with moms that have 3 kids and working 2 jobs and they really could use some self-pampering time? Or are you working with moms that are on the go and running a business and have, one child and they really want to balance out work and family, right? So identifying as niche as you can, but then who can get you in front of those people could be potential strategic partners, right? So those could be yoga instructors, they could be massage therapists, they could be business coaches, they could be so many different people that you can collaborate with. For instance, I'm not a mom. So when somebody comes at me and pitches at me, guess what? I'm not your ideal clientele, but I network with quite a bit of moms. Yep. So, okay, so number 2 is to identify who it is that you're talking to identify who those connections are. Number 3, this is if you take nothing out of this Facebook Live, if you take nothing else away from this, please listen to what I'm about to say. Be authentic with your intention. People see right through it. Be authentic in your intention. There's so many people out there, coaches and motivational speakers that keep pressing be authentic, be you. Yes, okay, I've got that. What I would like to emphasize is be authentic in your intention, because people are seeing right through it. And so if your outreach, really, if your intention is to sell to this person, but you are masking it and covering it up with wanting to get to know their dog and, all this side chatter and nurturing, and you really don't care, that's an area that needs to be worked on. Here's the thing. I do care about people. That is one of my strengths. I do enjoy talking about those things. However, if they are a prospect, they may not care to talk about their dog and, all of these other things about what makes them a person, right? But if you go into it with an underlying intention that is different than what it is that you're doing, they're going to see right through it. So for example, this conversation that I had yesterday was a conversation, and this person was interested in knowing what I do and how it could tie into their business. They actually were a prospective lead. And so I didn't need to, go into some sort of nurturing conversation, because I already knew that that's what they wanted. And all that he wanted was answers to see if my product or service could be a service for what he wanted. Oh, there's my dog. My husband's coming home. So go in with the right intention is going to help you so much more if you're direct. However, if you're not sure yet, if you don't know if they're a prospective client or strategic partner, that is where the human-to-human connection is important. That is absolutely important, to connect with that person and, yes, get to know them, but through that conversation, having the right questions to know, well, what is it that you want on a business level or a personal level, right? But when it comes to sales and marketing, if I already knew that he is a prospect, he has already identified that this is something that he's interested in, then I'm not there with the intention to unravel some of the layers that he doesn't care about right now. All that he wanted to know was if he then wanted to move forward and purchase. Okay, so yes, human-to-human connection is extremely important. It is needed, nurturing, but with the underlying intention, that is where I draw that division. You first have to understand and know what it is that they want and see if that's appropriate. And by doing that is having that conversation human to human. But until they have that distinct need or want, then it's a matter of not putting them into my sales funnel or into a sequence that they don't even want, they don't need, right? You got to determine that first. So anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on this. I think that this could be an interesting conversation. Talking points of using networking marketing as a marketing tactic versus a business platform and a business model. Overall, let me know what those tactics, if those are helpful, if you're going to try them out, and I can shoot over a link where you can get more on this. Anyway, happy Friday and enjoy your
Make sure to comment below and subscribe. Follow us also on Instagram for more tips of what your sponsors actually want at your next event.